Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Judy Morgan, your pet's advocate. Summer is here, so that means from a Chinese medicine perspective, we are officially in the season when the fire element is at its peak. Most people are not aware that the diet should change with the season. But if you think about the way you eat, you might notice that you do eat differently in different seasons. For instance, in the fall and winter, we really want to have those root vegetable stews that are so warming and grounding and just make us feel good all over. What do you gravitate toward in the summer? Things like ice cream, watermelon, and things that are very, very cooling. We actually do change the way that we eat, and we should think about this for our pets as well. Everything that we eat is going to impart energy to the body. It's either going to warm up the body or cool down the body. So in the summer, we want to look at what is going to be cooling for our pets. That means we're going to feed more cooling energetically foods. Proteins like whitefish, pork, rabbit, free-range turkey. That's going to be more cooling for the body. We want to avoid those things that impart a lot of heat to the body. Things like venison, lamb, goat, chicken. Those are going to impart a lot more heat and make our pets feel that heat of the summer even more. One of the other things that we see in summer is called summer damp heat. In North Carolina, the other day the humidity was 93% and it was 92 degrees outside. Literally, I walk out my door, my glasses fog up, and the sweat instantly forms on my body because there's just all this humidity. That is dampness. And so we have to feed foods that are going to allow the body to get rid of that. It occurs in our pets just like it occurs with us, except that they can't sweat. So they go outside instantly. They're panting. They're breathing heavy. They're pretty miserable. The fire element is ruled by the heart, and it also is the small intestine meridian. The heart is closely connected to the mind, or the shen. So we can get a lot more manic behavior if the fire element is in excess. The fire element is associated with the bitter taste, and it's also associated with joy and laughter. These animals tend to be very exuberant. People who are fire elements tend to be the redheads who want to dance at the party with a lampshade on their head. I was recently at an event and there was one of these fire personality people there. And let me tell you, she stuck out from the crowd. She was dressed just over the top, very bright colors. She was very outgoing, talking to everybody there. When you see that person, you know that's a fire element. The fire element in summer can get very out of balance because if you already have all of that excess that comes with the fire element, and then we add that heat and that humidity onto it, we can get a lot of problems. One of the things that we see is yin deficiency because fire burns hot, and so it burns off the moisture in the body, and we can get yin deficiency. What does that lead to clinically? We can see things like heart failure, manic behavior, hyperactivity, separation anxiety, ulcerations on the tongue, so a lot of gingivitis flares, obsessive compulsive disorders, sterile cystitis, so inflammation in the bladder, excessive vocalization, and we see a lot more hot diarrheas in the summer. So we get those bloody, mucoid, really nasty diarrheas. Colitis is a huge problem for our pets in the summer. Symptoms of being out of balance. If we have an excess with the fire element, we can have a dry cough, thirst, so this basically goes with the yin deficiency, sores in the nose or throat, restlessness, anxiety, painful urination, recurrent cystitis, bad dreams, soreness of the lower back, inability to focus, swollen hot joints, dehydration, yin deficiency, hives, and swollen feet. One of my mini mules has been breaking out in hives weekly for the past couple of weeks since it got hot. Deficiency in the fire element can show up as panic, confusion, weak heart function or heart failure, anemia, getting tired very easily, and low blood pressure. This time of year is really hard on those with excess fire. They're already running too hot, and fire's at its peak in the summer. So we want to support the water element. That makes perfect sense. How do you put out a fire? You hose it down with water. If we feed things from the water element and really support that water element, it helps bring it back into balance. We want to support the water element in these dogs because their water element can actually get exhausted from trying to chase down that fire element all the time. The Constitution's diets are available from All Provide, but we also have the recipes for the Constitution's diets on our website if you want to make the meals at home. So this would be a good time of year to feed that water element diet, the water Constitution, because it's going to help bring that fire back down into balance. And if you have a fire element animal, could be cat or dog, and people, now's a good time to cool that down for the next 6 weeks or so. Summer damp heat, talked about that a little bit, but this is where we're going to get more flares of IBD, recurring bouts of diarrhea, or recurring bouts of cystitis, which is inflammation of the bladder. And it occurs during these hot, humid summer months. It can also cause dogs with syringomyelia to become more symptomatic. I see this in my Cavaliers and my English Toy Spaniels that have CM and SM. When we're getting these huge shifts in the weather, these pressure changes, all this humidity is going to bring on that dampness. What is syringomyelia? It's a syrinx or a fluid-filled pocket within the spinal cord. So we get more fluid buildup, more pressure, and more discomfort for these dogs. Horses living in hot, humid areas can also suffer from anhydrosis, which is the inability to sweat. Horses don't pant. If they can't get rid of that excess internal heat, that can be a huge problem. Heat and dampness are 2 of the 6 pernicious evils in Chinese medicine. External dampness, humidity or rain, can make internal dampness worse. Internal dampness occurs when the earth element is damaged, our digestion. The digestive system, the spleen in TCM, does not like dampness. This is a big time of the year. A lot of swollen ankles for people. If we have animals who are prone to fluid buildup in their chest or in their abdomen or in their legs, we're going to see more of it now. Excess dampness and heat affect the lungs and large intestine, which are the metal element, because dampness can accumulate in the lungs. And when the lungs are saturated with dampness, we get coughing and phlegm. Eating cold foods, cow dairy, so bovine dairy products, or fried foods can affect the large intestine. And when that happens, we get loose stools or diarrhea. We don't usually feed fried foods to our pets, but eating cold food is huge. So a lot of people feed raw food or feed gently cooked food, but they take it out of the refrigerator or they just thaw it out and it's still cold. When we feed that excessively cold food over long periods of time, we're going to generate more dampness, more stagnation. That's why we say you always want to feed the food as close to room temperature or body temperature as possible. Summer and late summer are prime times for heat and dampness to cause increased problems for people and pets, including acid indigestion or regurgitation, reflux, inflammatory bowel disease, red-toned skin eruptions or rashes, a tendency to be more irritable and cranky in hot, humid weather, concentrated dark urine or burning urinary tract infections, a tendency to be thirsty, especially for cool or cold fluids, bloody or mucoid diarrhea, swelling in the extremities, and lung and sinus infections. I've had some of my worst sinus infections in the middle of summer. You think, how can I be sick? How can I have a cold in summer? It's because of all this heat that generates in there. So chronic inflammation, poor diet, eating excessively cold foods, and excess work can lead to excess damp heat. The tongue in damp heat will be red. It may have a yellow, greasy coating, and that dampness may also cause it to be swollen. Traditional medicine studies have shown similar results. Several studies have linked excessive summer heat exposure to worsening stomach problems, which could lead to diarrhea. In one of the studies, it was found that human patients with inflammatory bowel disease got worse during periods of prolonged heat waves to the point of requiring hospitalization. The study showed that a 7-day heat wave led to a 4.6% increase in risk of people needing to be hospitalized with a relapse of inflammatory bowel disease for every additional day that a heat wave lasted. One possible reason for the 1-week delay in IBD flares is that the heat waves changed the bacterial composition of the gastrointestinal gastrointestinal tract. But this change in gut bacteria takes time, which may explain the 7-day lag time in developing intestinal symptoms. Providing a good probiotic with herbs to soothe the intestines may help prevent this change in gut flora during times of heat stress. So we have a lot of products with slippery elm, marshmallow root, those kinds of things, very, very soothing. Options for summer damp heat causing bloody or mucoid stools and diarrhea: coptis root or pulsatilla root are both bitter, strongly detoxifying and drying herbs, necessary when there's a great deal of mucus, foul and burning stool. For damp heat causing red ulcerated skin, the herbal formula Simal San, also known as Four Marvels, can be very beneficial. The herbs in the formula clear heat and resolve dampness. It can be also beneficial for damp heat in the urinary tract. Diet matters a lot. Foods that contribute to dampness include cold raw foods, so again, bring it up to room temperature, the cow dairy products, and greasy foods. Lamb is considered a little greasier or higher in fat, but it's also a very hot protein, so we definitely want to avoid that. Foods that contribute to heat include processed foods, foods cooked at high heat, so kibble, extruded products, foods that are energetically hot, the chicken, the lamb, the venison. Avoid feeding dry kibble, avoid starchy vegetables and grains, chicken, corn-fed beef, lamb, and goat during summer heat. You want to add cooling foods to the diet, such as watermelon, celery, cucumbers. I'm growing a ton of watermelon and cucumbers in my garden. My dogs and my horses are all over that. Rabbit, duck, alligator, cod, and clams are really good protein sources that are yin tonics, so they're cooling. And to drain damp, we can add mushrooms, celery, radish, asparagus, or turnips. So asparagus is very easy to get right now. It's fresh. Radishes are easy to get. Mushrooms are always available. So there is a recipe in Yin and Yang 2.0 for draining dampness, and there's 3 recipes for skin damp heat, so you can use those. We also have 2 recipes on our website called Dr. Judy's Damp Heat Hypoallergenic Diet for Dogs and Dr. Judy's Rabbit Diet to Drain Damp for Dogs. By changing your pet's diet as soon as the temperature starts to rise, you can preempt a lot of these problems. We want to start adding cooling treats. You can use cooling mats, air conditioning, so that we can help prevent these problems from occurring. Your pets are probably going to have to spend more time inside. Your dogs may not be able to go for their long walks or go run and play outside as much. Puzzle games, other kinds of interactive things. You can do sniffaris in the house, hide treats, do things to prevent heat stroke and the dangers of being outside in excess heat. Also in the Yin and Yang 2.0, we have a section on excesses and deficiencies for the fire element, the symptoms, and what to feed to help prevent those problems from occurring. Keep your pets safe over the summer. The fire element kids are at the highest risk right now, but any pet can be affected by excess summer damp heat. Palmitoylethanolamide, also known as PEA, I started using it with my own Cavaliers, and I was so impressed by the results that I decided to make human-grade, high-quality PEA available for other pets. After successfully using Dr. Judy's PEA on cats, dogs, horses, and donkeys, it continues to be one of my favorite tools to have in my toolbox. Take 15% off any size of Dr. Judy's PEA using code YTP15 at naturallyhealthypets.com. That's YTP15 for 15% off any size of Dr. Judy's PEA at naturallyhealthypets.com.